Hello everyone, my name is Yashasvi Avasti and today we'll be discussing some troubleshooting scenarios. So let's get started. Okay, so here comes the last part of our video and the best part that I like to discuss. It's called What If. Now here I'll be discussing some troubleshooting scenarios that sometimes you may encounter during production operations and how to troubleshoot them. Now this section is important as well as necessary for you all to at least attend because all these things are not taught in the books. They're present nowhere. They can be judged or they can be observed only when a person encounters it during the production environment, in the project, or in day-to-day operations. So there are some of the things, some of the questions that pops up during our operations and we really ignore them, but they are meant to be discussed so that during such operations we should be good to go. Okay, so the first question, what if we are not able to access via a welcome page? Now, it might occur due to many reasons, such as our services are not working, such as maybe our VRA is not in a proper condition to work. So I've provided the link, you can follow that link. The best possible way to overcome it is to restart the VRA. The complete VRA should be restarted. Now, depending on the minimal or the distributed deployment, it should be restarted in a specific order, which you can see from the link given below. The second question, unable to authenticate through login page of VRA. Now, sometimes there is a scenario that we are not able to authenticate ourselves through the login page of a tenant in VRA. Now, that could be due to our Horizon service might be down. So we need to make that Horizon service up so that we should be able to log in. To go for that, I've provided a link below. You can go through the link and see how to restart the Horizon service, how to enable the Horizon UI and make your service available for the authentication through the login page. Now the next is not able to open WAMI portal. Now this might be due to wrong credentials of root password. So how do we reset it? The best way is to go to the vCenter, reboot the VRA machine, then take a remote console and we have to use some commands. We have to reset the password for the root. The whole procedure is given in the KB article for the link which I have provided below. You can go through that link and can do the needful. The fourth question, not able to open VCO control center shows the connection is not private and it cannot force to enter URL. Now this might happen due to HSTS issue or the certificate mapping issue or the trust issues. Since the certificate is not matched between the appliances, hence the error occurs that we are not able to access due to unsafe connection. And we even can't force to enter to the control center URL. For that, we need to pass or make a trust or need to share the certificate credentials or the SHA fingerprints in between the appliances. So how to share the fingerprints? For that, the KB article is given. You can follow the article and can easily do the needful. The fifth one is we are not able to download the client from VRA welcome page. Now this might occur due to many reasons. One of is that might be possible the VCO server service has been stopped, or might be possible that the Java heap memory has become full. So we need to check both of them. First check the Java heap memory and if it's kind of optimized or if it's optimum for the use, then we need to restart the VCO server from putty session so as to make the client available for download on VRA page. The sixth question is, when trying to request a machine with your request form, it shows an error failed to connect to service provider. Now this error occurs whenever your Java heap memory is full. So what we need to do is, first we need to clear up the Java heap memory and we need to expand the Java heap memory. Now the recommended RAM or the memory as per VMware documentation is 18 GB for VRA and 2.5 GB for VRO. So by default, 2.5 GB memory is allocated to VRO and 18 GB is allocated to VRA. And 2.5 GB is not different from the 18 GB, it's taken from 18 GB only. So to increase the Java heap memory, we just give some of the more memory from VRA to VRO, we assign it, like the optimum memory should be around 10 GB to VRA and the rest we can give it to VRO. So if there is a problem that our request form showing error like failed to connect to service provider, then we can increase the Java heap memory. We can also increase the connection timeout and operation timeout under the plugin inventory tab of VRO client. And also, after doing any of the step, we have to restart the VCO server service so as to make things play in an optimum manner. The seventh one is, infrastructure tab is showing error. We are not able to see our infrastructure that we have added or the endpoint resources that we have added to VRA. Now this might occur if our IaaS web is full. So what happens is, the IaaS web server collects the logs of every action that is performed with respect to blueprints or any services that have been triggered through VRA over the endpoint. So if the infrastructure tab is showing error or we are not able to see our endpoint resources, or even if our blueprint is failing, just like that, then first we need to see whether our IaaS server is having optimum memory for use or not. And if it's not, then we have to purge the memory first. We have to clear up some memory from the IaaS server, and then we need to check for the IaaS server service, whether the IaaS server service has been registered on WAMI portal or not. And then we need to check for the blueprint service, whether the blueprint service is registered or not. And if it's so, then better clear up the memory of the IaaS server, and then we are good to go. The next is, when we drag component into the design canvas while creating a blueprint, it shows an error. We are not able to edit the component. We can drag it, but we are not able to edit the component. We are not able to give them resources. We are not able to assign storage, network profiles, component profiles, etc. That might be issue with respect to the Xenon service, which you can see in our putty session. So for that, we need to restart our Xenon service, and then we need to close the browser, clear up the cache, and then log in again into the browser, and then we can see this all the components and their designing as well. So the ninth question, RabbitMQ not working in distributed deployment. In case of distributed deployment, it might be possible that RabbitMQ fails to load and makes the most of the services halt at that time. So we need to restart RabbitMQ service. So how to restart it in a specific order, the link of the doc I've provided below will tell you the step-by-step guide of how to restart RabbitMQ service so as to make it in an optimum fashion and make it usable. The last is, request form takes time to load on VRA. Now it might be possible that we have used exas request forms on VRA blueprints and then we are trying to make a request through that. And since it's taking time to load, it might be possible that it fails to load. So for that, we need to check for the Java heap memory first, whether the heap memory is filled or not. And if it's not filled, then we need to check for the VCO server service. And if it's filled, we need to clear up the Java heap memory and need to increase the Java heap memory as well. So we have provided the KB article of how to increase the Java heap memory of VRO. Okay, so for the ease of understanding of troubleshooting, I'll be discussing two of the most important troubleshooting scenarios that we may encounter, particularly in every environment, and how to resolve them. So one of the scenarios that we are in a situation when we are not able to log in through VRA portal, our authentication provider fails, or even our IaaS service fails, the blueprint service fails, and most of the catalog service fails, and most of the service related to requesting a blueprint fails. So what might be the root cause? So for that, it is first we needed to go to the IaaS web server. Let's go to the primary disk, that is local disk C. Let's go to the program files, go to the VMware folder, go to the vCAC folder, let's go to server, let's go to logs. So first thing we need to check is whether our log is full or not. Sometime it may be seen that the local disk C is full completely, and because of which further cluttering of logs cannot be done in the server, because of which the services get halt or they do not respond. Hence, we should, with the interval of time, should clear the servers so that we may not encounter such scenarios in our environment and can make the catalog item request or blueprint request or the services within VRA run smoothly and should be functional as usual. So this is the first thing that needs to be checked. If the authentication provider or any service fails just like that. Now the second most important troubleshooting scenario that we may encounter is while requesting the blueprint from VRA through request form or through exas, any resource action needs to be implemented over the deployment. Then we may see an error such as could not retrieve form from the service provider or could not retrieve action. So this might be the root cause for the Java heap memory. So for that, we need to check for the Java heap memory. To check Java heap memory, we need to log in to the putty session. So let's log into the putty session first, giving the host name for VRA. Click on open, login as root. Now since the public key is matched, so we need not to write the credentials for root, but in most of the environment, it might be possible that certificates are not matched or it's not trusted. So we need to enter the password for each login we do on putty. So now let's go to the root folder. So let's go to cd library vco app-server bin folder. Now let's run the command ls. Okay, so I guess I've missed something. We need to go to the user first. Okay, then we need to enter the whole command which I gave. Let me give it again. cd library vco app server bin folder. Okay, Let's look it for once. Okay, go to library, VCO. Okay, go to app server bin folder. Okay, let's take a look of files in the bin folder. So we need to access this sentenv.sh to increase the Java heap memory. Since the default Java heap memory size is of 2.5 GB, we can see in the sentence v file, and sometimes if such error occurs, that means that we are using workflows or very heavy workflows to execute through request form. So for that, we need to sometimes increase the Java heap memory for VRO. So what we'll do is we'll take a look at the file through command vi. Okay, so we can see, let's take a look at that. Okay, so we can see this line here. Okay, let me select it. Okay, so we can see the XMX value and the XMS value. Now the XMS value is the minimum required, or the minimum threshold that we set, that this much amount of memory should be available with VRO during any execution or operation, and the XMX is the maximum threshold, that this much is the maximum memory that a VRO may use during its execution. So by default they both are same of 2.5 GB, but if we are using some heavy workflows, we need to edit it, and we can make both as 4 GB or 5 GB. Particularly, VMware recommends in case of heavy workflows to be of 6 GB to make the workflow run smoothly and no error, so that no error for the service provider or fail to retrieve any action or the request form arrives over VRA. So these are the two troubleshoot cases that we may encounter at most of the time during a production environment issues or scenarios. So these were the what if scenarios or the troubleshooting scenarios that we may encounter during our daily operations on vRealize automations. So this was all about troubleshooting. My name is Yashasvi Avasti and I would like to say thank you.